I've been a park ranger in Alaska for 15 years, and I thought I'd seen it all. Grizzly bears, moose attacks, hikers lost in blizzards, the Alaskan wilderness can be unforgiving. But nothing could have prepared me for what I encountered last summer. Even now, as I sit in my cabin, the windows boarded up and my rifle close at hand, I'm not sure if I should be writing this down. But someone needs to know. Someone needs to be warned. It started with the disappearances. At first, we thought it was just careless hikers, people underestimating the vastness and danger of the Alaskan backcountry. But then experienced guides started vanishing, and we knew something was wrong. I remember the day it all began to unravel. I was out on a routine patrol, checking some of the more remote campsites. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and snow from the distant mountains. Everything seemed normal, peaceful even. That's when I saw it, a campsite torn apart. And I don't mean by bears or wolves. This was different. The tents were shredded, sleeping bags ripped to pieces. But there was no blood, no signs of a struggle. It was as if the campers had simply evaporated. As I surveyed the scene, a chill ran down my spine. In the soft earth, I saw footprints. But they weren't human, nor did they belong to any animal I recognized. They were large, with strange indentations that looked almost like suction cups. I radioed it in, trying to keep my voice steady. "Base, this is Ranger Mike. We've got a situation at campsite 37. Possible missing persons. And something else. You're going to want to see this." The response came back garbled, full of static. "Me dash, can't hear you. Re-dash, our position." I frowned, tapping the radio. It was top-of-the-line equipment, designed to work in the harshest conditions. It shouldn't be failing like this. That's when I heard it, a low, thrumming sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The trees around me began to sway, though there was no wind. And then, from the corner of my eye, I saw movement in the forest. I turned, my hand instinctively going to my sidearm. What I saw made my blood run cold. It was tall, at least 8 feet, with a body that seemed to shimmer and shift, never quite holding a solid form. But its eyes. God, its eyes. They glowed with an otherworldly intelligence, fixed directly on me. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Then it opened what I assumed was its mouth, revealing row upon row of needle-like teeth. The sound that came out was like nothing I've ever heard, a high-pitched shriek mixed with a deep, guttural growl. I ran. I'm not ashamed to admit it. 15 years in the Alaskan wilderness, and I ran like a scared child. I could hear it behind me, moving through the trees with impossible speed. Branches snapped and leaves rustled, but its footsteps were eerily silent. I burst into a clearing, my lungs burning as I gasped for air. That's when I saw them, dozens of shimmering forms, surrounding me on all sides. They were different shapes and sizes, some vaguely humanoid, others completely alien. But they all had those same glowing eyes. One of them stepped forward. Unlike the others, this one seemed more solid. It was tall and lean, with skin that looked like polished obsidian. When it spoke, its voice echoed in my head, bypassing my ears entirely. "Human," it said, the word dripping with disdain. "You have witnessed what you should not have seen. But perhaps you can be of use to us." I found my voice, though it came out as little more than a whisper. What are you?" The creature's mouth twisted into what might have been a smile. "We are the old ones. We have slept beneath the ice for millennia. But now, as your world warms, we awaken. And we are hungry." My mind raced, trying to process what I was hearing. Climate change, melting permafrost, ancient creatures awakening. It was like something out of a sci-fi horror movie, but it was happening right here, right now. "What do you want?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The creature tilted its head, regarding me with those glowing eyes. "We want what all living things want. To survive. To thrive. Your kind has ruled this world for a blink of an eye. Now, it's our turn again." I realized with horror what the disappearances meant. These creatures weren't just killing people. They were feeding. "You can't do this," I said, my fear turning to anger. "We'll stop you." "The government, the military," the creature laughed, a sound that made my skin crawl. "Your weapons are nothing to us. Your technology, a mere annoyance. But you could be useful. A guide. Someone who knows the land, the people. Help us, and you might be spared." I wanted to refuse, to tell this monster exactly where it could shove its offer. But a small, scared part of me whispered that survival was better than the alternative. If I was alive, maybe I could warn others, find a way to fight back. "And if I refuse?" I asked, already guessing the answer. The creature's form seemed to ripple, growing larger, more menacing. "Then you will be the first of many to feed us this night." I closed my eyes, weighing my options. When I opened them, I had made my decision. "All right," I said, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. "I'll help you." The creature nodded, seemingly satisfied. "Wise choice, human. Now, tell us of your people. Where do they gather? Where are they most vulnerable?" As I began to speak, telling them about popular campsites and hiking trails, I felt a piece of my humanity slip away. But I also began to plan. I would play along, for now. Learn their weaknesses, if they had any. And somehow, someway, I would find a way to stop them. The next few weeks were a blur of horror. I watched as the creatures picked off isolated campers and hikers, their methods becoming more brazen as their numbers grew. I fed them information, always trying to steer them towards areas I knew would be empty, but I couldn't save everyone. At night, I would lie awake in my cabin, listening to the strange thrumming sound that now permeated the forest. Sometimes, I could hear screams in the distance. Whether they were human or animal, I couldn't tell anymore. I tried to warn people, to contact the outside world, but it was no use. The creatures had done something to our communications. No phones worked, no radios could reach beyond the park boundaries. We were cut off, alone with these ancient horrors. As the days passed, I began to notice changes in myself. My senses seemed sharper, and sometimes I could swear I heard whispers in a language I didn't understand. Was I becoming like them? Or was I simply losing my mind? One night, as I stood at the edge of the forest, watching the northern lights dance across the sky, the obsidian creature appeared beside me. "You have served us well, human," it said, its voice echoing in my mind. "But we sense your conflict. Your desire to betray us." I turned to face it, my heart pounding. Can you blame me? You're killing my people. The creature's form rippled, and for a moment, I saw something vast and incomprehensible, something that hurt my mind to look at directly. We are not so different, you and I, it said. Your people have dominated this world, consuming all in your path. We simply wish to reclaim what was once ours. By killing and eating us, I spat. The creature's eyes flared brighter. The strong survive. The weak perish. It is the way of all things. As we stood there, facing each other under the ethereal glow of the aurora, I realized that this was it. The moment I had been waiting for. I had learned all I could about these creatures. Now, it was time to act. You're right, I said, my hand inching towards my sidearm. The strong do survive. In one fluid motion, I drew my gun and fired. The bullet struck the creature dead center, and for a moment, I thought I had done it. But then, to my horror, the bullet simply passed through its shimmering form. The creature looked down at where the bullet had passed through it, then back at me. Its mouth twisted into that terrible smile. Oh, human, it said, its voice almost sad. Did you really think it would be that easy? Before I could react, its form exploded outward, enveloping me in cold, suffocating darkness. I felt myself being pulled apart, my very atoms seeming to separate. And then, just as suddenly, it was over. I found myself on my knees, gasping for air. But something was wrong. My body felt different. Foreign. I looked down at my hands and saw not flesh, but a shimmering, ever-changing surface. I tried to scream, but the sound that came out was that same mixture of shriek and growl I had heard in the forest weeks ago. The obsidian creature stood over me, its eyes gleaming with triumph. Welcome, brother, it said. Now you truly understand. Now you are one of us. As the horror of my transformation washed over me, I felt my mind expanding, filling with knowledge and memories that weren't my own. I saw the history of these creatures, their long sleep beneath the ice, their awakening as the earth warmed. But beneath it all, buried deep but not extinguished, was a spark of my human self. And with it, a determination. I may have become one of them physically, but my mind was still my own. And I would find a way to stop this. To warn the world. As I stand here now, looking out over the Alaskan wilderness with my new, alien senses, I can feel the others moving through the forest. They think I'm one of them now, a converted human ready to help them conquer this world. They don't realize that they've made a terrible mistake. They've given me the power to fight them on their own terms. And I intend to use it. So if you're reading this, if my warning has somehow made it out of this isolated hell, know this, they are here. They are ancient. And they are hungry. But we can fight them. We must fight them. Because if we don't, humanity's time on this earth will come to a swift and terrible end. I don't know what will happen next. I don't know if I'll be able to maintain my sense of self, or if the alien consciousness will eventually overtake me. But I do know this, as long as I'm able, I'll keep fighting. I'll keep trying to find a way to stop these creatures and save what's left of humanity. As I write these final words, I can sense them calling to me, urging me to join them on their nightly hunt. For now, I'll play along. I'll pretend to be one of them. But I'll be watching, waiting, looking for any weakness, any chance to turn the tide. If you're out there, if you're reading this, stay alert. Stay armed. And whatever you do, stay away from the deep forests of Alaska. Because they're out there, waiting in the shadows. And they're hungry for more than just flesh. They want our world. Don't let them take it. This is Park Ranger Mike, signing off. If I don't make it, if I lose myself to this alien consciousness, remember, the fight isn't over. It's only just beginning. And remember, always remember, they are here to kill us all. Days blur into weeks, and weeks into months. My transformation is complete, yet the core of who I am, Mike, the Park Ranger, still clings to existence within this alien form. Each day is a battle to maintain my sense of self, to resist the pull of the hive mind that constantly whispers in the back of my consciousness. I've learned much about these creatures, the old ones, as they call themselves. Their history stretches back millions of years to a time when the Earth was young and alien. They ruled this planet once, building civilizations that would make our greatest achievements seem like child's play. But then came the ice, and with it, a hibernation that lasted eons. Now, as the planet warms, they awaken. And they're hungry. Hungry for dominion, for flesh, for the very essence of life itself. I play my part well, joining in their hunts, pretending to revel in the terror we inspire. But each life taken weighs heavily on what's left of my soul. I try to interfere when I can, to misdirect or sabotage their efforts, but I must be careful. They're beginning to suspect that not all is right with their newest convert. One night, as we stalk through the forest, I sense something different. A presence that doesn't belong to the old ones, nor to any natural creature of this world. It's ancient, yes, but not alien. Something tied to this land, to the very spirit of Alaska itself. As we near a clearing, I see it. A massive figure, easily 12 feet tall, with the head of a moose and the body of a man. Its antlers seem to glow with an inner light, and its eyes hold a wisdom and power that make even the old ones pause. One of the younger old ones hisses, "What is this abomination?" The obsidian creature, the one who turned me, holds up a hand for silence. Careful, it warns. This is old magic. Earthbound. Powerful. The moose man speaks, its voice like thunder rolling through the mountains. You do not belong here, starborn creatures. This land is under my protection. I feel a surge of hope. Could this be an ally? Something with the power to stand against the old ones? The obsidian creature steps forward. We were here long before you, spirit. This world was ours once, and it will be again. The moose man's eyes narrow. Much has changed since you slumbered beneath the ice. The world has moved on. You no longer have a place here. With a snarl, one of the old ones lunges at the spirit. But before it can make contact, the moose man's antlers flash with blinding light. The old one screeches in pain, its form seeming to unravel at the edges. What follows is a battle unlike anything I've ever witnessed. The old ones attack with all their alien might, their forms twisting and changing, lashing out with tentacles and claws and weapons I have no names for. But the moose man stands firm, each swing of its massive arms sending old ones flying, each flash of its antlers causing them to recoil in agony. I stand at the edge of the clearing, torn. Part of me wants to join the fight, to help this spirit drive back the invaders. But I know I'm more valuable as a spy, gathering information from within their ranks. As the battle rages, I feel something stirring deep within me. a connection to this land, to the spirit that protects it. I realize that my transformation isn't complete. There's still a part of me that's human, that's tied to this earth. Suddenly, the obsidian creature turns to me. "Brother," it hisses. "Why do you stand idle? Fight." I know this is the moment of truth. My chance to finally take a stand. Drawing on every ounce of willpower I possess, I focus on that spark of humanity within me. And to my amazement, I feel my form begin to change. It's agony, like being torn apart and put back together. But when it's over, I stand there in my human form once more. The old ones recoil in shock and rage. "Traitor," the obsidian creature screams. "You will suffer for this betrayal." But before it can attack, I'm enveloped in a warm, golden light. The moose man stands before me, its massive hand on my shoulder. "You have chosen wisely, guardian of the land," it says. "Your spirit is strong. Now, let us drive these invaders back to the stars from whence they came." What happens next is both beautiful and terrifying. The moose man begins to chant in a language that sounds older than time itself. The earth trembles, and the trees themselves seem to come alive. Roots burst from the ground, entangling the old ones. The very air shimmers with power. I feel that power flowing through me as well. Guided by instinct, I reach out my hands, and bolts of pure energy shoot from my fingertips, striking the old ones and causing them to howl in pain. The battle is fierce, but it's clear the tide has turned. The old ones, for all their alien might, are no match for the combined power of the land spirit and a human who has seen both sides. As the last of the old ones fall, dissolving into shimmering mist, the obsidian creature turns to me one last time. "This isn't over, human," it snarls. "We will return. And next time, we will not be so easily defeated." With that, it vanishes, slipping between the cracks of reality to some unknowable dimension. The forest falls silent. The moose man turns to me, its eyes filled with a mix of sorrow and pride. "You have done well, guardian. But this was only the first battle in a long war. What happens now?" I ask, my voice hoarse. "Now, you have a choice to make. You have seen beyond the veil, walked in two worlds. You can return to your human life, warn your people of what's to come. Or, I prompt, or you can embrace your new nature. Become a true guardian of this land, with the power to stand against threats both earthly and beyond." "I'll do it," I say, my voice steadier now. "I'll become a guardian." The moose man nods solemnly. "Very well. Know that this path will not be an easy one. You will walk between worlds, never fully part of either. But you will have the power to protect those who cannot protect themselves." As it speaks, I feel a change coming over me. My senses sharpen even further, and I can feel the pulse of the land beneath my feet. The trees whisper secrets on the wind, and I can hear them. "There are others like you," the moose man continues. "Guardians of other lands, other realms. Seek them out. Learn from them. For the old ones are not the only threat this world faces." With that, the spirit begins to fade, merging with the forest around us. But its voice lingers on the wind. "Remember, guardian. The greatest power lies not in strength of arms, but in strength of spirit. Never lose touch with your humanity, for it is what will save us all in the end." As the last echoes of its voice fade away, I stand alone in the clearing. But I'm not the same man I was when this all began. I'm something new, something between human and other. I make my way back to my cabin, my mind racing with all that has happened. I know I need to warn people, to prepare them for the battles to come. But how do you tell the world that ancient, alien horrors are real, and they're coming to reclaim what they see as theirs? As I reach my cabin, I see my radio sitting on the table. On a hunch, I switch it on. To my amazement, it crackles to life, the static giving way to clear voices. The old one's interference is gone. I pick up the receiver, take a deep breath, and begin to speak. This is Park Ranger Mike. Authentication code Sierra 97 Delta. I need to speak to someone in authority immediately. What I'm about to say will sound crazy, but I swear on my life it's true. We are not alone, and we are not safe. They are coming, and we need to be ready. As I wait for a response, I look out the window at the Alaskan wilderness. To most, it would look peaceful, serene. But now I can see the hidden currents of power that run through the land, the ancient magics that sleep beneath the surface. But even as I embrace my new role as guardian, I can't help but feel a pang of loss for the simple life I once knew. Will I ever be able to connect with humans again, to form relationships, to feel truly part of their world? As if in answer to my unspoken question, I hear a twig snap in the forest nearby. My senses immediately go on high alert, ready for any threat. But what emerges from the tree-line isn't an old one or a spirit. It's a young woman, a backpacker by the looks of her gear. She sees me and waves, a friendly smile on her face. "Hey there," she calls out. I'm a bit turned around. "Could you point me towards the nearest campground?" For a moment, I'm frozen, unsure how to respond. Part of me wants to warn her of the dangers, to tell her to flee these woods and never return. But another part, the part that still clings to my humanity, recognizes the importance of this moment. I smile back, feeling the expression somewhat foreign on my face after all I've been through. "Sure thing," I say, my voice rough from disuse. "It's about 2 miles that way. But why don't you come inside for a bit? Rest up, have some coffee. These woods can be dangerous if you don't know your way around." She hesitates for a moment, likely weighing the advice she's heard about not trusting strangers in the wilderness. But something in my expression must reassure her, because she nods and approaches. "Thanks," she says. "I'm Emily, by the way." "Mike," I respond, extending my hand. As we shake, I feel a spark of connection, a reminder of the world I'm fighting to protect. As I lead her into my cabin, I realize that this is what it means to be a guardian. Not just fighting monsters in the night, but being a bridge between worlds. Protecting humanity not just from physical threats, but from the despair that would come from knowing the full truth of what lurks in the shadows. I put on a pot of coffee and listen as Emily talks about her hiking trip, her dreams, her life back in the city. And for a little while, I allow myself to feel human again. But even as we chat, my senses remain alert. I can feel the forest watching, the old ones plotting their return from whatever dark dimension they've retreated to. I know that this moment of peace is fleeting, that the war for our world's future is far from over. As the sun begins to set, painting the Alaskan sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple, I walk Emily to the trail that will lead her safely out of these woods. Before she goes, she turns to me with a quizzical expression. "You know, "There's something different about you, Mike," she says. "I can't quite put my finger on it, but thank you. For the coffee, the conversation, everything." I nod, feeling a lump in my throat. "Take care out there, Emily. And remember, if you ever feel like something's watching you in the woods, something that doesn't feel quite right, trust that instinct. Run. And know that there are those of us out here, standing guard." She gives me an odd look but nods. As she disappears down the trail, I turn back to face the deepening shadows of the forest. Night is falling, and with it comes my vigil. I am Mike, once a simple park ranger, now a guardian of the threshold between worlds. My story isn't over. In many ways, it's only just begun. But as long as I draw breath, as long as I can stand between humanity and the horrors that lurk in the dark, I will fight. For this is my purpose now. My duty. My destiny. And somewhere out there in the gathering darkness, I know the old ones are watching. Waiting. Planning their next move in this cosmic game of cat and mouse. But they don't realize one crucial thing: they might be ancient, they might be powerful, but this is our world. And we will not give it up without a fight. So come, old ones. We'll be waiting. And this time, we'll be ready. The end, for now.